Please remember to like, share, subscribe and comment to support all of the interviews that are being uploaded onto this channel and to support the growth of it as well. Thank you and enjoy the interview. It is such an honor to interview you. You are part of the multi-generational family, the Winans, and a member of the Winans as well. That's won several Grammy Awards. I grew up listening to them, and across the UK and across the world, your family have made a legendary contribution to gospel music. So thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
The first question I'd like to ask you is please tell us about your early life growing up and the story about how the Winans were formed.
Wow. Well, growing up, we grew up in the projects of Detroit on the east side, kind of a rough neighborhood. Not as rough as it is now, but when we came up, it was a little rough. But of course, my mama and dad had 10 kids, and they were always working and trying to provide for us. But they always had us singing too. We had an old raggedy piano in the house, and Marvin would start playing on it, and he never took lessons, but he learned to play, and my parents could hear that their children could sing, right? And so they started to work with us and made us rehearse. I think we were around, I would say about the age of 4 when we started singing, and they really stayed on us. My dad taught us a lot of harmonies, how to blend. In the beginning, it was my oldest brother, David, and myself, Marvin, and Ronald. So we were called the Wineneers. I don't know who came up with that. Probably my dad, but they made us rehearse a lot, and they taught us what it meant to blend, where you could sing and then hear the other person singing with you and not be too loud, but kind of blend with what they're doing and get the harmonies right. And so they taught us quite a bit, but they saw that we had that gift to sing. And my mom and dad could sing, of course. They were phenomenal. They didn't do it in the beginning as a career because they had to take care of their children. But they taught us an awful lot about singing and how to approach different songs and the harmonies and all that kind of stuff. So it was, and then, of course, we being a big family, we always had to, try to get a job and work and help out around the house. So it was, I wouldn't change it for the world. I really wouldn't. But because my dad taught us and my mom taught us a lot of things that you would use in life. They didn't expect us to be, to become career singers or to go on to win Grammys and all that, because that wasn't even in the picture, They saw we had a gift, and so they helped us to nourish that gift, and they also taught us what life was all about. You had to work, whatever you did, you had to work hard at it, and so we just went along life like any other, family. You got to a certain age, you get a job, you work, you help out your parents, but God had other plans, He had other plans for us. We had no idea what would happen.
Thank you so much for that answer. And in 1981, you were signed by gospel legend Andre Crouch to Light Records.
Yes. Andre had heard, well, I'll go back for a second. There was a young man by the name of Howard Smith. You may have heard him because he did some recordings of his own, but he was singing with us at the time. It was Howard, myself, Marvin, and Ronald, and we were called the Testimonial Singers. And Howard left our group, and he went out to California to do some work with Andre Crouch. And I think it was the album I'll Be Thinking of You. I think if that's the name of an album of Andre, I think Andre was introduced on that album. And he started telling Andre about these young guys back in Detroit that he had sang with. He's saying, Andre, you got to hear these guys, man. There's something special. And so he really played us up. And so Andre came to Michigan to do a concert at Michigan State. And he wanted the Winans, the Testimonial Singers, to open up for him. And at that point, I think we had put Michael in the group because Howard had left us. And after Andre heard us, we opened up for him. He started talking about contracts, and they signed us to a contract. Now, mind you, we didn't get into the studio until 2 years after that, after we signed. So we were like, oh my goodness, man, when are we gonna get in the studio and do some work? You know, we had signed the contract. You know, at that age, I think we were maybe 19 when we signed the contract, and 19 or 20 when we signed the contract. And so at that age, you know, you dream of having a career in music, you know, and so, but it was taking so long. It was taking so long for them to get back with us and say, hey, we're going to be in the studio such and such a time. And so my dad said, because he would do concerts around the city for us. He would sponsor us in concerts and put a lot of his hard-earned money into his kids. And we would do concerts and sell tickets, and we would sell out everywhere we would go in Detroit, because Detroit really just, you know, they got behind us. And so one day he said, you know, we're gonna drive down to LA. I'm tired of waiting on Andre. You know, we got to get down here. It don't make sense. 2 years y'all don't sign that contract. You know, so we're gonna drive down there. So we did. Me, my dad, Ronald, Michael, and Marvin. We drove to LA, and we didn't let them know we were coming. Right. So we got to LA, and when we got to LA, we called Bill Maxwell. I said, Bill, we here. What do you mean you here? We're here. All of us are here. My dad, you know, Marvin, Ronald, Mike, all of us, we're here. So he said, well, let's get the album going. And that's when we got in the studio. You know, we went to Andre's father's church, and we sang. And then I think that next week we started the album.
Thank you so much for that. And following on from that, the Winans have gone on to win about 5 Grammys. They've, you know, graced some of the biggest stages within gospel music, and even sung, at one point you sang on the Oprah Winfrey show, seen clips of that as well. So what do you think separated the Winans from other groups during the 80s and 90s?
I think, well, first of all, you know, God had a call on our life. That's number one, you know, because like I said, we had no idea. I mean, we love to sing. Like at 13, we stopped singing around the house because my parents made us do it all those years. And so when they didn't make us do it, we just stopped doing it, you know, because it was kind of like we didn't really want to do it. And we never thought about making a career out of it. But I think the difference between one was, like I said, I believe God definitely had a direction for us, and he had a call on our life to do what we do. Then I think too, when you have a family group, there's just something special about that, like harmonies and the harmonies seem to be tighter because you grew up doing this, right? And so I kind of knew where Marvin was going on background. What was amazing is that Marvin would write a song and he would tell us what the background words were, you know, whatever. And then we would jump on our parts and we would all jump on different harmonies. Automatic. We didn't say, okay, Carvin, you take this, Ronald, you do this, Mike, you do this, Marvin, you do this. We would jump in and we would all be on different harmonies, you know? And so we say, okay, that's our part, you know? But I think that only comes when you are a family group and you sing for so many years together, so you know each other, you know your moves, you know each other, you just know what to do, you know? And so I think that was an edge for us. Besides, like I said, God having a direction for our lives and for music, I think that those were the things that separated us from a lot of groups, because we didn't say, hey, I want to be a singer. We just never said that, you know. We were singing around the house, but then when we saw that our parents had groomed us for it, and Marvin started writing songs early, and he was writing some really great songs, and we would rehearse a lot, and then it started to become fun for us to sing. And so once we did that, and we said, okay, maybe God has this direction for us, you know, for us to go in. And so I think that was the thing that separated us from a lot of groups, being family, and also that call that was on us. You know.
Thank you so much for that. And following on from that, you have collaborated with some of the biggest artists alive, including You've even worked with the likes of Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Regina Bell. You've written songs for Whitney Houston. You have such an impressive, CV, as it were.
Yeah, it was again, yeah, as you name those names, it's like, I sit here and be like, yeah, I guess I was blessed to do that, But Steve, what's funny is that a lot of people wanted to work with us. We didn't even seek these people out. When we came out and God had blessed us to really, roll, so our name started to grow. People really loved what we did, secular artists were like, man, who are these guys, and we found out a lot of secular artists was listening to us, and so we started getting calls to our management that certain people wanted to work with us. And so that's how we got with Stevie. Michael wanted us to work with him on Man in the Mirror. So we were signed with Quincy Jones at the time at Quest Warner Brothers. And Quincy told us, when Michael did Man in the Mirror, that was, I guess, maybe like his gospel type song, And so he told Quincy, he said, I would love to have the Winans on this, So, well, they're with my label. Let me see if we can make that happen. And that's how it happened with Michael. But yeah, we had a lot of people, Michael McDonald's, Anita Baker. We had a lot of people that wanted to work with us, even in the rap world with Teddy Riley, and when we did It's Time, but we were fortunate and blessed that people really took to our music, and they took to our style of music, and it was more in the secular world that took to us than the gospel world. The gospel world thought we were too, R&B-ish, if you want to say that, but it was the R&B world that kind of took to our style, and some of them started copying our style, and but it was just great to work with. Michael Jackson doing Man in the Mirror was just phenomenal. He was really some type of entertainer. He really was, and of course, writing for Whitney Houston and Regina Bell, the song I did for her, Make It Like It Was. I'd written it for the Winans. We were doing a Decisions album, and they turned it down, And I said, really, y'all gonna turn this song down? I think it's a pretty nice song here. And so they turned it down. And so I saw Regina at one of the Grammy ceremonies, and I gave her a tape, because I would always keep demo tapes on me, because I did the same thing with People Bryson when he did a song of mine. And she called, and her company called, and they said, hey, we love the song, we're going to do it. And man, who knew, it went #1 R&B, and she didn't change a lyric, she didn't change a note, because I written it for me and my brothers. And so for that's what really made me feel good, because they didn't dissect the song. They did it just the way I did it on the demo, and it went #1 R&B. And so that was an honor, but everybody we've worked with, Stevie Wonder, of course, he's a legend, he's Stevie Wonder. So he's just amazing. He's just, and he's such a close friend of ours right now. And it was just amazing to work. All those people you named are super talents. Whitney Houston, of course, she had the voice, who was better than Whitney. Whitney was incredible. And so to work with those artists, and some of the ones that I haven't even named, has always been an honor for us to do that.
Thank you so much. And just following on from that, how did you hold on to your values by working with many of these secular artists? But sometimes it can be a struggle for gospel artists to work with secular artists. How did you find that balance?
That's a very good question, and I'm going to give you a very good answer. The answer is, you just have to be true to yourself. Be true. We were always, because, and I can speak for myself, I never took this business too seriously. And what I mean by that is, I didn't get caught up in all the glim and glamour of it, right? Our main thing was that we wanted to please God. We wanted to sing. At that point, we loved singing, we loved writing, we loved doing what we did. But we never got caught up in the craziness of this music world business. And I think that's where people go wrong, especially in the gospel world. They get, and even in the secular world, because they get caught up in it, and they realize, okay, it's just music. And so maybe you got a great album or you win a Grammy. Okay, it's an award. People are honoring you for the gift that you have. And that's all. It's a gift that God gave. And so you can't look at it any different than that. You can't look at it and say, well, he gave me a gift. We won this one, so that makes me better than somebody. No, it does not. You just have a gift, and your gift people enjoy.
Trust in God. Please welcome 3 Winans brothers. No.
Understands every fear, so we must put our trust in God. He knows our reasons why, nights we must sit and cry, so we must put our trust in God. Even though sometimes the load may make you feel your life is almost gone, just look up. Tomorrow's sun will let you know your life's not done. Just look around, love's pouring down. Trust in God.
So I'm saying that you can't get caught up with all the Hollywood and the entertainment world and all that kind of stuff, or even in the awards that you win. You just can't get caught up in that. And when you don't, especially as a Christian artist, as a gospel artist, or like I said before, as an artist, period, because it'll ruin you if you start taking this thing too serious and gassing yourself up. You'll be ruined, And so I think that's what helped us. We had each other. We would never let each other get like, okay, you still Marvin, you still, you ain't. I know people love your voice, but you ain't all that, So we had each other to keep the balance there. And my dad wasn't having it. He said, I don't care how many Grammys y'all win. He said, ain't nobody great but God, period. And so we had each other to keep that balance there. But that was it. You have to keep God first. And then I don't care who you work with, because everybody we worked with, they worked on our terms, And so you have to keep God first. That's what does it. And it's not hard. It's not hard to do that, Thank
you so much for that. And the Winans was inducted into the Gospel Music Hall of Fame in 2007. What do you believe are some of the biggest challenges gospel music faces in the contemporary world?
I'm gonna say gospel music and music, I think all around. I think some of the biggest challenges is that back in the day, you really had to, like, if you were writing a song, first of all, it had to make sense, people would put a lot of work into their craft back then, I know with the Winans, it was really hard to get a song on our album, on my own album, right? Because we were so into making sure that the lyrics made sense, the melody made sense. If you're going to tell a story, you got to tell a complete story. So people, when they walk away from the song or hear the song, it helps them. They understand where you're coming from, because maybe they've gone through that same thing. So songs had to make sense. So you couldn't just sit down and write one line and then sing it over and over and over again and then call it a song. You had to come with a story. The story had to make sense. And so I think a lot of challenges now is that people are not doing that. They don't really hone in on their craft and get the best out of it. They want this instant success, for one, and they halfway write songs now. And it's just not, nobody is really putting, well, I ain't gonna say nobody, but a lot of people are not putting their all in all and really taking their gift seriously, you know, as a writer and even as a performer, as a vocalist. You know, they made it bad for vocalists when they came out with this, with the machines that can, like back in the day, if you had a background part, you would have to sing it. And then you get to the next chorus, you have to sing it again, you know, and you have to be, so you in the studio all day, you could be in the studio all day with one song, you know, if you're not doing it right, because you got to get it right. And every part where that background part came in, that's where you had to sing. Well, then they came out with that machine, you sing it once, and then they can fly it in all the other parts where the background goes. Okay, so now you're making singers lazy because you got they get that one part and then they zoom it through the rest of the song. Okay, then they come out with the auto tune where a person can sing the song all the way flat, and then they fix it. You know, they fix it with the machine. So therefore, that person can never develop an ear because they know they can depend on the machine to fix what they're doing wrong. So, and so as far as singing, you know, I think it makes a lot of singers lazy. Writers, they're kind of the same way. They don't really sit with their craft and make sense out of a song. They just fly through it. So I think that's the challenges we're dealing with now. And that's not just gospel music. That's music across the board, you know? And so I'm glad I was brought up in that area where you really had to work. You know, you had to work, you had to train your ear, you had to do all of that. And it made us better singers, you know. I can go in the studio and sing anything, you know, because, and with you can put 5 people now, I'm gonna stay on my harmony part because I was trained that way, you know. And so I think that's where a lot of people are missing out because they're not developing in a correct way. So
Thank you so much. And another question I'd like to ask you is the death of your brother Ronald shocked the gospel music world, and I know it was hard for the Winans family. So please, could you tell us how you coped with that situation, and ultimately going forward, what is his legacy?
Michael, which question was that again?
It's question number 5.
Okay. The losing of Ronald. Oh man, that was tough. That was very, very tough because when Ron got sick, and we were all there, we were doing the 700 Club, I believe. I don't know if you know what that is. That's like a gospel talk show, and we were singing on there. And we remember when we were walking from the dressing room to the set, and he just would get tired, you know. And just taking a few steps, he would get tired, have to just stand and just get his breath. And then, like, man, what's wrong with you? You know, he said, I don't know, you know. So we got back to Michigan, and Marvin took him to a specialist and found out that he had a heart valve that was leaking. And so, man, it was just, when I found that out, I was like, man, you know, it just tore me apart because Ronald was such a big part of the Winans. And not just that, he was just a big part of our family, period. And so when he got very ill, it just put a damper on stuff. We had tours that we canceled because he couldn't go out on it, and we didn't care, you know. But it was just a tough time. And then when they did the operation, and God blessed him to live 8 more years and do some tours with us again and do even another solo record, because you know he did the Ron Winans and Friends, you know, stuff, and so that was a blessing. But when God finally brought him home, it was tough, man. To me, there was no more Winans after that. There was no more Winans. The Winans was over, you know. Though, you know, BB, Marvin, and I, we did something together. But as far as the Winans, that was over. That was a wrap, you know. So it affected us in a lot of ways. We still think about him an awful lot. And especially when I'm hearing some old Winans stuff and I hear him singing, you know. And because he was what we called our gospel singer. I guess I was like the R&B guy, you know, because, you know, my flavor is so different. But Ronald was like our gospel singer. He could he could sing anything, man, and take it to church, right? So it meant, it was a tough loss for the whole family.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. One of my favorite songs of the Winans is Standing on the Promises. I used to have that on repeat so much when I was a child.
That song is so funny. We just came back from Detroit. My twin brother Marvin got married, and we just got back from Detroit. And on the way down there, we were playing that song. It came on. My wife has she has what you call, I guess, her playlist, right? And that came on, and man, I listened to that song because I don't hear a lot of old Wine stuff a lot, but that song was really pretty good. I think Michael wrote that, right? And that was a really nice song. The production, I think it was my brother-in-law that produced that one, Cedric Caldwell. And that was a nice song, man. So I understand how it could have been your favorite, I understand that. But it was a really nice song. Really nice song.
Thank you so much for that. And another classic song that the Winans have produced is "Let My People Go."
Yeah. That in the time of what was going on in Africa at that time, apartheid, and we wanted to kind of write something and tell how we felt about that, so Marvin and I we got together. We were writing. I think that was the first album we did under Quincy Jones, right? That was the first album we did under Quest Records, and we wanted to make a statement. We wanted our voices to be heard, and we wanted people to know what we felt about what was going on in Africa. And so, it wasn't just in Africa; it was around the world. Racism and all that crazy stuff. And so we wanted to let our voices be heard on that. And so we prayed about this song, and Marvin and I came up with some ideas, and we wrote it, and it was well received. It was definitely well received. And so I think we just wanted to. It wasn't hard to write it because, like I said, we wanted our voices to be heard because, that was a tough time back then. That was really, seeing what they were doing to our people in South Africa. That was tough to watch, and so we wanted to make a statement. I think we did. And like I said, I think we were well received when we did the song and the production of it. And Quincy was definitely happy with what we did, and so and I think it accomplished what we set out to accomplish with that song, and just make people aware, and those that were not aware of what was going on, it kind of opened up their eyes, even a little bit more, So that was, it wasn't one of the songs you sit back and say, "Oh man, that was a wonderful song," because it wasn't in a wonderful time, Again, it was a song that we made a statement, and that's what we're trying to do. But it and like I said, it was well received, so we were glad about that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for letting me know. And what do you think are some of the biggest social issues that Christians should be aware of today, and why?
Well, oh man, it's a lot going on here, Michael. Oh man, it's a lot going on here in this world today. I think we got to be aware of everything. I think we have to be aware of what we watch on TV. We have to be aware of where we go. We have to be aware of all the pitfalls that's out there, and through it all, we have to always be aware that we have to love everybody, no matter what. But there's so much out there, so much craziness out there nowadays. You just, like the Bible says, you have to watch as well as pray. You got to watch everything you do. You got to watch everywhere you go. You just have to be a watchful person right now, you know, because the world ain't getting no better, it's getting worse. But even with that, I think we still have to, we can't crawl in a hole, you know, because everything seems to be going nuts. We have to still be out there and minister. We have to still be out there and try to win people, you know, to Christ. And we have to be out there and still use the gifts that he's given us. But we just have to be really mindful, you know, with social media now and all this, you know, it has its place, and some of the places that it has for us are good places, but then a lot of it is bad, you know, with the social media. So you have to watch all that stuff, because you just have to be careful. You know, I don't do a lot of that stuff, you know, as far as posting and all. I don't do that stuff. It's like, you know, my wife kind of takes care of my stuff, you know. So I just don't, you know, we're both, Sheree and I, that's my wife, Sheree. We're both private people, but we do realize in the world of entertainment, you still have to have some of these things to do what you do, because everything is surrounded by that stuff, you know. And so, but you just have to be careful with it, because it's a great tool, but it can be a dangerous tool, you know. And again, it's just, you know, you have to really pray now, you know, a lot. You have to pray an awful lot, you know, because if not, man, you know, you'll get sideswiped.
Question is, will I ever leave you? The answer is no, no, no. Questions are, will I ever leave you? Will I do your will? When will Jesus return? And yeah, soon, so soon. Your question when it's coming, the answer is real soon.
Whisper words about you endlessly, mostly to myself, 'cause you make me believe no one could ever love me like you could. There wouldn't be a day I'd be alone, and never would there be a time I didn't know, 'cause no one could ever love me like you could. You have been the one who fulfills my dreams. I'll never let you go if you stay with me. I promise you would.
really fast.
Thank you so much for that. And on the topic of of your wife, you wrote a wonderful song in your album Softest Way.
Yeah.
Called Mind for your wife Sherry. So please tell us a bit about that song, and what advice would you also give to young men who are looking to be married as well?
I can give some advice. A song for, I mean, you blow my mind. The original title is "You Blow My Mind," and in parenthesis, a song for Cherie. My wife means everything to me, and so when we were getting married, I wrote this song. God gave me this song, and it was just amazing to fall in love like I did. I never believed in love at first sight until I saw my wife, right? And it was like love at first sight. And I never believed in it. I thought that's crazy. But it happened, right? She wouldn't think about me, but when I saw her, I was in love. She had not a clue, And so then I had to just, I had to work. I had to go to work. The Bible says, whoso finds a wife has a good thing. So I had found her. She didn't know she was found. So I had to let her know she was found. so I had to let her know. So, but I think that my advice to young men, and finding, because I know God put me and Cherie together. I know that there's no doubt. And I think a lot of times, as young men, we're in a hurry, maybe too much of a hurry to get married. We don't have the patience to wait on what God has for us, because when He has something for you, it ain't gonna fail. It's gonna be perfect. Not just saying that your marriage will not have any, ups and downs, because I think everybody has a marriage that's up and down, but you'll have more ups and downs. And then I think the longer you're married and the longer you learn about each other, and I think men have to also learn to be, a lot of times back in the day, men would raise their sons to be, like, you got to be dominant over your wife. You got to be dominant, Don't let your wife tell you what to do. Don't let her, you're going to always be smarter than her. I mean, men have done a horrible job of raising sons because we taught them that the wife is the lower person, right? And you are the one that you're going to tell her what to do and she better listen. No, that's foolishness. If you have a wife that's very smart with money, more smarter than you, then you should give your money to her and let her take care of the money, right? A lot of people say, man, get your separate bank account and do that, and don't let you spend your money. No, because if you're one, then you got to act like it, right? And so if your wife is better in certain areas than you are, then you let her run those areas. It doesn't make you less than a man, and that's what we've been taught. I don't know if you ever heard the word henpecked. I hate that word because people would say, "Oh man, you so henpecked." What is that? What is henpecked? And your wife is telling you what to do, man. You have to tell people like that, and just stay out of my life and just leave us alone, and let me run my house, And so I think that when you learn as a man to be like, it doesn't make you less than a man to listen to your wife, especially if she knows what she's talking about. I ain't talking about somebody who just don't know what they're talking about. But if you're blessed with a woman, if you're blessed with a wife that knows what she's talking about, is very smart, she knows how to handle this, and the Bible talks to you about that woman. That's a virtuous woman. So if you have a virtuous woman, why are you not gonna listen to her? It ain't gonna do nothing but make your life better, But the world, we flip it, and we say the man got to be, he got to be Mr. Know-it-all. When some of these men don't know nothing. I'm not bad with money, but I'm not nowhere as good as Cherie is with it. And so I would be silly to be like, no, I'm gonna do this. It's my money. I'm gonna do. No, that's foolishness, you know. So you have to, a man has, it takes a real man to know when he needs to take a back seat, you know, and it doesn't make you less than a man, you know. But we've taught so many wrong lessons to some of our young men growing up. So I would say, hey, my advice would be like, okay, first of all, let God show you who she is. And when he show you who she is, don't you mess it up, you know. Be one, become one. It didn't say you be up here and she's down here, you know, waiting on you hand and foot, you know. No. What about you wait on her hand and foot sometime too, you know? So it's got to be even, you know. And you can't be afraid of that as a man.
Thank you so much. Really great.
You're welcome. Are you married, Michael?
I'm not married yet. No.
Not married yet. Okay. So hopefully you'll take some of that advice. Definitely. All right.
And in 2015, the three Winans brothers won Outstanding Artists at the NAACP Image Awards. Please can you just tell us about the projects that you're working on as a part of this group and any individual projects?
Well, the three Winans brothers, BB and Marvin approached me, and I talked to my wife about it, and they wanted me to, because I'm gonna tell you, man, I hadn't been in the studio after Ronald had passed. At one point, I didn't want to sing anymore, you know, and, but God said, you can't do that. I gave you a gift. You got to keep using it, you know. And so my wife and Marvin talked me into doing the three Winans brother album. It was great for me because it got me back in the studio, and it got me back to writing and back to singing, and you know. And so it was great that way. I think that it showed me how blessed I was to have the brothers that I worked with in the beginning of my career. BB is a different kind of animal. he's really good at what he does, you know. But it was a different kind of approach in the studio for me and Marvin. You know, we got through it. And we came out with some pretty good stuff. You know, working with the Clark sisters was great too on that project. And so that was good. But it did get me back in the studio, and it got me, you know, prepared to do my solo record, you know, and to write and to work with some of the people I worked with on my solo record, which was Stevie Wonder and Kenny G. And, you know, we had production by a young kid named Carlos Beatty, who's out in California, very good producer. We worked with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, that worked with Janet and put Janet on the map, you know. But Tommy Sims, who I think is one of the most underrated producers out there, he is just a genius, you know. And so the three Winans Brothers album really got me into the mindset of doing my solo project. Next thing I think I want to do is I want to do a project with just me and my twin brother, you know, with me and Marvin. And because the twin thing, I think it's a different kind of thing with me and Marvin, because the fact that we are twins, we kind of feel each other a little different than the rest of my brothers, you know, or sisters. And so, and then the fact that we were probably the main lead vocalist when it came to the Winans, you know. Ronald did a lot of leads, but I think Marvin and I did most of them, you know, and we definitely did most of the writing. And so I think it would be an interesting project to do. It would be a fun project to do because we play so well off of each other. And even back in the day when he would do his leads, I would produce his leads, you know, along with Bill Maxwell and them, and then he would produce my leads, you know. And so I think that would be a very, very interesting album to work on. And I think we would come up with some stuff that people just ain't heard before, you know.
Thank you so much, Carvin. I'm really looking forward to that project, actually.
Oh, yeah, look forward to it, because we're going to get it done. God willing, we're going to get it done. I'm telling you. Yeah. It'll be fun. It's
Thank you so much. It's been amazing interviewing you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Well, no, not a problem, man. You had some great questions, and it was an honor to be on the show, and I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Harvin.
You're welcome, my brother.
Jesus said, here I stand, won't you please let me in? And you said, I will tomorrow. Jesus said, I am he who supply all your needs. And you said, I know. But tomorrow,
tomorrow, I'll give my life tomorrow. I thought about today, but it's so much easier to say tomorrow. Who promised you tomorrow? Better choose the Lord today. Tomorrow, forget about tomorrow. Won't you give your life today? Oh, please, don't just turn and walk away. Tomorrow, tomorrow is not promised. Don't let this moment slip.
'cause you're tomorrow could very well begin.
Your tomorrow could very well begin.
Ooh, your tomorrow has very well begun today.
Been shown the best of love and make it show. Nothing has felt so right as your love. Now I can see what you were.